I looking good, I feeling good, I real good, I real good. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Trish Rampersad, and I am the Core Behavioral Therapist. And I'd like to welcome you to my podcast and YouTube channel. With me right now, I have Reshmi Rampersad. And I know Reshmi because for YouTube videos, obviously, A Taste of Trini. She's a Trinbagoan foodie and contact creator. And she goes under The Taste of Trini. So if you ever check out her YouTube channel, it's great. She has recipes. She talks about the Trinidadian culture. It's just pretty awesome. And she talks about traditions and recipes that have been, taken down to her family from previous generations. And I actually know her because she's married to my cousin that I grew up with, Kevin. Our moms used to babysit each other and stuff, and we went to Catholic school and stuff together back in Queens. So thank you, Reshmi, for coming.
Thanks for having me, Trisha.
I appreciate you so much for coming. I think that you're such an influencer, and it feels good to see like someone like you and people like you coming out with YouTube channels and just showing people what our culture is about. It's just really, really awesome. I love it.
Oh, thanks.
So can you tell us what made you start this channel, this cooking channel?
So it actually started in a really dark place. The channel itself. Yeah.
Oh,
When
wow.
I moved
I
to
didn't know
New
that.
York. Yeah, when I moved to New York back in 2014,
Yeah.
I was newly married. So I was just married like a year. And I moved to New York. It was such a culture shock for me. I was missing home. All my family, they were in Trinidad. So cooking was my way of keeping, staying close to home.
Yeah.
So it was good too because Liberty Avenue, we can find everything, for Caribbean cooking. So I
Everything
would get all my
Caribbean.
ingredients there
Yeah.
and I would come home and cook every day for Kevin. And
That's a good wife. Oh my goodness. You're like
so
a traditional Trinidadian woman. I mean, but modern day, and I love it. A
I
great.
tried to be. So I was just stuck in the apartment cooking because I was waiting for my paperwork to go through. And so I was cooking every day and I was so depressed. Kevin used to work and I was just home alone cooking. So the channel was actually born from a really dark place. And it was Kevin who actually influenced me to start the channel. His friends as well. When we went to little limes or parties, I would cook and take it over for them.
Yeah.
And they would say, you should really start teaching people how to cook because you're a really good cook. So I just took their advice and I tried it, and now this is where we are today.
I think that's so awesome. I'm sorry that you were in a dark place and you were depressed, but something beautiful came out of it, and it's like
Yeah.
cooking therapy, and I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. And you had such a great influence, your friends and Kevin, to help you start this. So that's just so awesome. That culture shock is real. Can you talk a little bit more about that? What it was like for you we call it acculturation, to acculturate
Okay.
American society. So what was that like for you? And
For
Kevin is
me,
American, so it's like
yeah, he's
cultural.
American. I'm a real, country girl, Trini girl,
Yeah.
and I wasn't used to taking public transportation. I had to take the train. I was so confused. I think I cried the first time I went outside in the snow,
Oh.
and I felt that really cold, um, feeling in my bones. I felt it all up in my head. I always remember that feeling,
Yeah.
and it was such a shock to me. I've never experienced snow before, and even taking the train, I used to be so lost. I remember the first time I took the train by myself,
In New York
I,
City, right?
I think I got lost.
Wow.
Yeah.
In New York City. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. You got lost? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But Kevin was a good teacher. He told me, and then now with phones, you could just use GPS. So I mean, from where I started, I think I'm really proud of where I am now.
Yeah, I'm definitely proud of you. I know a lot of the Trini community is very proud of you too. You overcame a lot. So this is a mental health podcast and channel, as you know. Um, and in our community, Trinidadian culture, you know, they don't really take, I shouldn't say they, but in many cultures, they don't really see mental health, depression, that sort of thing as a huge issue. Have you seen a shift with that, a change?
I have, especially in my family as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think probably last year
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of people, I think because of the pandemic and, people were going crazy. I even developed anxiety and panic attack last year, probably late last year.
Yeah.
And I only realized that it's something that runs in my family. So I
Yes.
had no
Wow.
idea that my grandmother suffered from it, my mom suffered from it, but they never told me. So it's only like a week ago I told my mom, and she said, both my mom and I had it. And I said, why didn't you ever tell me? Because I didn't know how to deal with it.
Right. So it's
So
genetic.
that's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It was genetics, and you only so this you suffer from this since last year, and just told your mom last week. Is that right?
yeah, yeah,
Wow. Well, that's a long time. So you're brave to tell her, and then look, you got all this information
yeah.
from her that your grandmother had it too. What have
Mm-hmm.
you been doing? Thank you for being so transparent, vulnerable, and open, to admit that it takes a lot of strength. And I really wish more people would come out and speak up about anxiety and depression and panic attacks, especially during COVID, right? During the
Yeah.
pandemic, you
It
know?
is scary, and I think what really triggered it is that I go home, back
Hmm.
home to Trinidad and Tobago. I go home twice a year. Last year, for the entire year, I didn't go home. The last time I was home was um, in 2019 in August. That was the last time I was home and I saw my parents.
Wow, that's tough.
Mm.
That's so
Yeah,
tough. And you're married, so you can't really go back and then the
yeah,
borders are closed. I'm not too sure why the
yeah.
borders closed to the Americans from
It's
Trinidad.
closed. I think they're letting people in, but you have to have a good enough reason. So
Yeah.
you have to write a letter, and I'm not sure, but someone told me it's not worth all the stress to go through.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I can only imagine what that's like, and you being here and your whole family being in Trinidad and during a pandemic, there's so many people that experience this just like you and are isolated now and are experiencing depression. But I think I saw your videos, and they're so inspiring. They make me feel so happy. I mean, everyone
Thank
needs to go check them out because it's light, it's fun, it's the way you cook and the way you talk and the recipes and stuff. Have you heard positive
you.
feedback from people about your videos?
I would say 95% would be positive. A lot of people say that my voice is soothing to them. They like to listen to it before they sleep. A lot of people, they enjoy the way I do my videos, and I love to use music. I love music. It's therapy to me, and I love including music in my videos. And when I cook and I choose the songs, that it takes me a while to choose the music to go along with the video. So editing for me is a whole therapeutic process. So filming is a whole therapeutic process, and then editing is another process for me. So
Yeah, so it's so interesting because it taps into your creativity, your creative side, right, with the music. And
yeah,
so you do all your videos,
I do everything. Yeah,
you do the music.
except if I have Kevin tape me doing something, like if I go somewhere out and I have him tape me eating or something. But most of the times, I do everything. I do all the filming and editing and everything.
I think that's so awesome. That your voice is very soothing too, and it's nice because you're sharing these recipes and your choice of music. It's upbeat, and some of it's just. I watched your Christmas one too, and I loved you had like some Michael Bublé playing in the background and stuff. I think
Oh.
some Christmas songs, but you also have like parang. Parang is like. Can you explain what parang is? Do you know what that is? It's like Christmas parts.
Project, it's like a mixture of like Spanish and calypso. and
Yeah.
soca, I guess, like a fusion.
Yeah. So I like to call this music therapy and art therapy too. I mean, do you find what do you feel when you're in your creative mode? Picking
Um,
songs and
you mean what do I do? Like
how do you
creative?
feel? Like what does it make you feel like when you're
Oh, I feel at ease. I feel at peace. I feel light.
yeah.
It's just like when I'm cooking. When I'm cooking, I like to be just immersed in everything I'm doing. I don't like anybody to bother me. Most of the times I have music playing, but
Yeah.
it's like art to me as well.
I love that. It's the art part of it too. I love that. I
Because I mean, it's like a blank canvas, right? And you're creating something with ingredients. You
right,
can cook the exact same thing that I cook, but it wouldn't taste the same because we both have our own, touch to it. Both
right.
add our own touch. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I've seen you included your family. I think one of your first videos it had you were cooking dalpuri, I think, or and your
Yeah, with my
family was
mom.
yeah, that was nice. That was really, really nice. Have you experienced any like negative feedback or I guess old
Yeah.
aunties or anything saying, you know, I could cook this. Have you heard any?
Yeah. Most of the time, it's younger people. I was shocked. Most of the time, it's younger women or uh, East Indians.
Really? I'm so
Yeah. So
sorry to
I
hear
get
that.
a lot of that where they say, this is different than how we cook, but they're not in a constructive way. It's more in a negative way where
Yeah.
they say, you shouldn't be cooking that. Like, where did you learn to cook that? It's wrong. And then I
So
would get a lot from young females. They
mm,
would say, "Who is this girl? Like, who does she feel she is?"
oh
I
no.
get that a lot. But I do get a lot of sweet messages also, and most of them are positive. So I usually focus on those.
So is that what you do in order to not make you go, I guess, to that dark place again? When people are negative, that you focus on the positive. That's what I'm.
I think the first year I started YouTube, I used to let it affect me because I didn't know how to deal with it. I grew up very introverted and I always kept to myself. I didn't have experience with these type of things. I was bullied in high school, but not to this point. Uh, when you're putting your entire life online, it's
Yeah,
hard to tell, where people are gonna come from. I've gotten so many horrible messages, nasty messages online from just random people, random people on their keyboard. But I think I've learned to just laugh through it and
yeah,
look at it not as something is wrong with me, but something is wrong with them.
yeah,
Because if you can go online and use your time that you have to go hate on someone else, then it doesn't say anything about me. It says everything about you.
yeah. It's usually, I'm really sorry you were bullied and you had to go through all of that and the negativity, but you're absolutely right. I think it's a projection of when people don't feel good about themselves or they have insecurities about themselves, you know, they they just project like horrible things onto people. And unfortunately, I'm so sorry that happened to you. That's what's it like? Because I do deal with this too, where we are Indian, right? We're Indo-Caribbean. I'm Indo-Caribbean American, but what is that like when I guess Asian Indians don't really see us as Indian?
Yeah.
I feel like that's ethno racism. That's
They
racism with
look down. Yeah, they look down on us. But now I just tell them, I say, go look up Trinidad and Tobago online. That's most of the time when they come on and they listen to my accent and they say I have a fake accent. So I
oh,
say,
no, you do not have a fake accent.
so
Oh
I
my
say, go
god.
look up. I say, go look up Trinidad and Tobago
Yeah,
on Google and come back and chat with me.
yeah. So you stand
Because
up for
they think,
yourself.
yeah, I do. I just laugh and I just answer them to suit, but I'm not disrespectful, I don't think. I just answer them to suit.
Yeah.
But they think that I am East Indian, so I should have a Indian accent. So I sound British, I guess, to some people. So they think I'm putting on this accent.
Well, people don't know that Trinidad was a Trinidad and Tobago. They were English colonies, right?
Yeah.
And they were just
Yeah.
recently liberated. So the English did take over, and our ancestors came from India, right? And they just, I liked how not. Did you ever see? I don't know if you saw this Indian Matchmaker on Netflix, but one of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
okay, well, this not
She's
even.
Guyanese.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
Guyanese. She's Guyanese American. She's the same culture as us, just Guyanese American. And she said, I'm Indian, but Asian Indians don't really see us as Indian. But I like to
Yeah.
just say we just came here a little bit earlier, meaning to the new
Yeah.
lands, right? And she's
Yeah.
absolutely right, because our family came from India like 4, maybe 5 generations, 6 generations back. Like,
Yeah.
and we just came here earlier. I just wish people were more culturally sensitive and
Yeah.
even within our culture,
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten backlash like, oh, well, you're too traditional, you all you do is
Mhm.
cook, but you don't, there's more to you than that. There's culture, there's
Yeah.
there's all these complexities to you.
I think some people would say, because I love eating with my hands and I do share that on my videos a lot. So I show them, I have my enamel plate that I brought from
Yeah,
Trinidad and I eat with my hands, especially if it's dal and rice and curry or dal
that's
rice
part
and
of our
bhaji or
culture.
something.
Yeah.
So a lot of people like it. Some people are like, you're too backward. And,
Oh no.
I,
People
I'm
are
not like,
insane. I'm
it's not
sorry. I
like
hate to
I'm,
use the word insane. Forgive me, everyone. But that's just, it's part of your culture. I mean, everyone.
yeah. It's what keeps me close to home. And I think I just love doing it. I don't apologize anymore for how I am. And I have my own little piece of home here with me in Texas. I used to live in New York. Now I live in Texas. And everywhere I go, I bring a little piece of home with me. So,
I love that. I love that about you. So what was it like for you to transition? So here you are, you're Trinidadian. How long have you been in
yeah.
America, by the way? How long have you guys been married or been here?
In 2021. I moved here in 2014.
Hmm.
So last year was 6 years.
Okay.
This
So
December will be 7 years.
okay. So thank you for that. So you had to transition from Trinidad to New York, which is a big, big jump because
Big.
she's an island girl.
Yeah.
We island girls. And then you made the jump then from Trinidad, from New York to Texas, which are
Yeah.
two different worlds, in my opinion. Tell me about that. Tell us about that.
So what I can say is that moving from Trinidad to New York, it actually helps me a lot in building my personality.
Okay.
Because as I mentioned before, I was an introvert. And when
Yeah.
I moved to New York, I learned a lot. I learned how to, be a little more outspoken, how to stand up for myself, the typical New York
Yeah.
mentality.
Yes.
And because of Kevin also, I mean, he's a born and bred New Yorker. So,
Yeah.
being with him, it helped me also. But New York has a lot to do with my personality and breaking me out of my shell, I would say. Yeah.
Mhm. That's awesome.
Both New York and my channel, they had a lot to do with me breaking out of my shell. And then moving from New York to here, I would say people are much more friendly here. So
Hmm.
I think I feel more at home here.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. I didn't know Texas had a does Texas have a big Trinidadian community? Or no, not really. Some small pop.
Yes, but it's not like New York where everyone's concentrated in one area. It's just spread all over Texas.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Because I saw you go, some of your videos, guys, her videos are so awesome. She actually takes you shopping with her sometimes. Her and Kevin will go shopping and she'll show you the ingredients and what exactly to buy. And I love that. So I saw like some West Indian stores and groceries that
Yeah.
you were able to go to in Texas. And I was just
What I
very,
love doing is because I mean, it's not a big population like New York, but we do have a good amount of Trinis here. So what I do with my channel is I show people where they can find the Trini ingredients here.
yeah.
And a lot of them have been living here for over 15 years. And when I moved here and I started showing them where to find things, they're like, but you just move here. How are you finding all these things? And we live in here so long. So
Mm-hmm.
I do try to help them, find where all the Trini or Caribbean ingredients are.
Yeah,
So I do all the research for them, basically.
that's so awesome. So
Yeah,
you like Texas a lot, right? I think.
I
How's the
love
weather
Texas.
there? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
love Texas.
there's a big movement from like, because I lived in San Francisco. I lived in San Francisco for like 7 years or so,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, there's like a big movement of people. They call it the Exodus, and a lot of the companies are moving to like Austin, Texas, because it's
Yeah,
more affordable and what have
yeah.
you. What's your favorite thing to cook?
My favorite thing to cook. I would say chicken soup. I
Okay.
love a good chicken soup.
Yeah,
But actually, I'd have to switch that for the pandemic. I made pilau so often for Kevin that
really.
I think it's now my favorite thing to cook. Yeah, pilau, chicken pilau.
Okay, okay. What's the easiest thing that you like to cook?
Easiest. I would say dal and rice. Dal, rice, and curry chicken.
Okay, okay, cool. Um, because I mean, I always tell people do what you love, and then you don't ever have to work a day in your life again. And I feel like you're
Yeah.
doing it too. Um, and you look like mental health and stuff, depression, anxiety, all that other stuff. It's a work in progress every day, right? So
I mean, I know how to control it, and because I know now what's happening to me, I didn't know before what was happening to me. So I didn't know how to react it. Now I know what's happening. I know how to react it, and now I'm doing well. So
that's really good.
um,
You're doing
I
well.
use my cooking to help me, help me heal, and it's a whole therapeutic experience. Cooking, I love cooking. I didn't tell you that I actually have my associates in health science, and I'm doing my bachelor's right now in human resource
Awesome.
management.
That's
So
so
I don't just cook
awesome.
alone. Some
No, I
people
know.
think I'm just
That was
a
my next
housewife.
question.
Okay.
That was my next question. What else is there to you? Like, what else do you do? Because you just don't cook. There's lots of things
Yeah.
that you do.
So right now I'm doing my bachelor's in human resource management, and I do want to pursue a career in that. But if food is my destiny and food is what makes me happy, then I think I'll just stick with doing something with food, maybe a restaurant or something in the future with food, because I really love food.
Yeah, or you can do a bunch of different things if you want.
Mm.
You have that capacity to do it all at the same
Yeah.
time, which is pretty cool. I would imagine with the pandemic, people are not really eating out at restaurants and stuff anymore. Maybe getting things delivered, who knows? But I would imagine that your videos they're helping people.
Yeah, I think during the pandemic, a lot of people, I got a lot of traction on my channel. A lot of people started to cook at home more, and actually the most popular one during the pandemic was doubles. A lot of people wanted to learn how to make doubles. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. You said that speaking of doubles, would you ever you said that maybe one day you'd open up a restaurant. Would you open up like
Mhm.
a specific type of restaurant, like a roti shop, or what would you, I don't want to
It
just
might
assume
be,
that
it
because,
might be just a Caribbean, like a Caribbean broad, just Caribbean food, doubles, pilau, everything, roti,
yeah,
everything. Yeah.
that's so awesome. Um, so can I ask you how you met my cousin? How'd you meet Kevin?
So we actually met. Okay, so our families have been friends forever since before I was born. And my mom and his grandmother were best friends. They were neighbors and best
Okay.
friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up with his grandmother also and his family. I grew up with his family, and when his grandmother was sick, I stayed with her for a while. So she didn't want to be in the house alone, so she asked my sister and I to come stay with her, especially in the night. So we were staying with her, and she ended up getting sick and she passed away. And Kevin came for the funeral, and that's how we met.
Oh my
So
God.
he saw me.
Go ahead. You're
Yeah.
the second You're the second Indo-Caribbean person who has told me that they met their partner
Yeah.
at a funeral.
Yeah.
My auntie met my uncle at a funeral too. Oh my goodness. Well, I guess funerals, I mean, maybe that's the place to be. I'm sorry to hear about that, but wow.
Maybe that was his grandmother's wish. I don't know.
Oh, that's beautiful. Can we talk
Yeah.
about that? Can we talk about spirituality and what you believe in? Because what if that was her, the grandmother's, his grandmother's wish, or yeah,
Yeah, I think maybe it was. I deep inside, I think it was because when I stayed there, she would always talk about Kevin, and I didn't really know him like that, so I didn't know much about what she was talking about, but she would always tell me to pray on a certain day, and I'm not a very religious person, so I'm not a very Hindu person then.
yeah,
I do believe in a higher power, but I
yeah,
don't believe in one specific God.
right,
Um, because I grew up in half Christian, half Hindu home. My mom she grew up also in a half Christian, half Hindu home. So she would always play hymns for us, um, teach us all the prayers.
yeah,
And I went to a Muslim school as well. So I respect
oh,
all religions, and I do during each religious period, like for Ramadan, I always fast at least 1 or 2 days. And so I follow all religions,
that's
but I do yoga and meditation. So I'm
that's
very spiritual in that way. And I don't just do one. I don't focus on one religion because I feel like each religion has something different to teach us.
okay,
And you're praying, you're just praying in a different way to get the same message across.
yeah,
So, in Hinduism, you pray in Hindi, but you're getting the same message across.
right,
In Islam, you pray in Arabic.
yeah.
So,
So
yeah,
interesting. So, people do tell me that spirituality also helps with their mental health.
yeah,
Do you find that when you do
I
yoga and
do.
when you do pray? That's pretty awesome.
I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Since I started with the anxiety, since it came full on, I started practicing yoga more, you know, I started doing it more. Every day I would do yoga, and it's been helping me.
That's awesome.
So,
That's so
yeah,
good. Um, therapy is so important. I mean, I wish like my family, we all went to therapists when we were younger or something, or it's just so important. But I'm so happy that our culture is open to all these different facets, all these different ways of doing therapy to heal, like you said, the different things
yeah.
that you do to heal. Um, it's just so awesome. I think that you're such an inspiration. And
Thank you.
yeah, your voice is very soothing. Your videos are
Thank
very inspirational. You show the culture, the dress, the different religious events. I mean, when I was watching it, I was like, oh, I miss Trinidad so bad. I miss visiting Trinidad so bad.
you.
But I just want to thank you so much for being on. Oh, there's one more thing I want to ask you. What causes do you believe in? One more thing. What causes do you believe in?
Causes. Um, hmm. Can't think of any at the top of my head,
Okay, no.
but I would say definitely like would breast cancer awareness be one of them?
Of course, yeah, definitely. Well, mental health obviously is one of your passions too, and also
Yeah.
breast cancer awareness. Yes, that's
And mental health awareness, and as well as animals. I
oh
believe in treating animals right, and I feel like being a Caribbean person, not in my household, but I've seen it in the Caribbean. They're not into treating animals
no, they're
humanely.
not. They're not. That was my first experience when I was like 7 or 8. When I saw a mangy dog in Trinidad, I would spend my summers in Trinidad, and I saw a mangy dog, and they belonged to my neighbors who happened to be family as well, my dad's cousins or something. And then it just had like it was limping, and it was just so, and I cried so bad because I never saw an animal get treated like that. But here
That's
it's
why when I moved here, I was shocked to see how they treat animals, and
yeah,
you know they treat animals better than children here.
that's
It's so nice to see.
it's true. Yeah. Yeah, animals, yeah. Like, animals are like children for some people. They are. They're like part of the family, pets and stuff.
Yeah.
I totally,
But
yeah.
it's
You know what's good? Pet
growing
therapy.
up, I've seen, yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, growing up, I've seen how people beat animals and kick them, and it's not nice.
No,
And I just never like that.
it's so horrible. I hope there's a change in the Caribbean and Trinidad or in other countries, and even in America, how people treat animals for the better. You know, I hope that happens. There's pet therapy too.
Pet
Um,
therapy.
yeah, they help. If you were to get a pet, they also help lessen
Yeah,
anxiety or alleviate
I
anxiety.
do want a dog
Yeah,
puppy,
yeah,
and but I live in an apartment right now, so once I get a house, I'll definitely get a dog.
yeah. That sounds like a plan. I think you'd be a great fur mommy.
And,
It'll be a fur baby.
yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about social media, about what people put out there? What do you think about social media?
So I know you spoke about my transparency earlier and talking about my issues. So I think I want to urge more content creators to be more transparent, talk about your issues. If you're comfortable, at least talk about it. And because I feel like we always compare ourselves to all the perfect people on social media. And some people actually, some people would watch these models or watch people and they would doubt themselves. They
Yeah,
would think that they're not as perfect as that, or look at people's lives and, get depressed. But people are not what they post to be online.
I
They're
always,
not what
you're
they're
right.
supposed to be.
You're right. I always
Yeah.
see people show their best on social media and then hide the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
a lot of people hide their faults, they hide their insecurities, and they try to portray the best of everything. But I think that needs to end now, and people need to they need to show, the just real life, just be open and real, honest. Because as you said, mental health is real, and a lot of people are going through it, and no one knows.
yeah,
And maybe by someone opening up, their story, telling their life story, maybe it could help someone else. Like, look at me with my anxiety. I've
yeah,
been telling all other people, and
yeah,
someone was telling me they had the exact same feeling and they didn't know what it was.
yeah. I
And
think you opening up is going to save a lot of people's lives, especially in our community, because it's so hidden. So I
yeah,
totally agree with you. Yeah,
because so as an Indo-Caribbean woman, we're taught that we can't complain. We have to just you know, do your work, do your housework, be a wife. You can't complain. You shouldn't have pain. You shouldn't, you don't have anything else to do. So you should just cook and clean, and that should be good. You shouldn't have any issues. You have nothing to worry about. You know,
yeah,
that's how we're brought up to think, and we're not allowed to show any emotions. I think you know about that too, right?
yeah.
Even though
I
you
totally,
didn't grow up.
yeah, I totally get that. I mean, yeah, growing up, I mean, let me tell you now, a lot of things make sense now of things I've seen or experienced and what depression is and anxiety and being bullied. Like you said, all of that kind of stuff has an effect on you as a child, but it
Yeah.
impacts you as an adult. And it also changes the composition of your brain. When you're a child, your brain is not fully developed until you're
Yeah.
in adulthood. So when you experience these things as a child, it has a detrimental effect
This
on
is why I think in Trinidad, people think, well, in the Caribbean, I would say, people think it's normal to beat children. And I'm
yeah,
not saying discipline is bad, but to an extent, it does have an impact on children.
it
And when they grow up, abuse, definitely, emotional, physical, mental abuse, they do have an impact on
yeah,
children and, their adult life. They grow up thinking that they're nothing. They grow up thinking that they're worthless.
yeah,
they it just changes up their entire personality, I
yeah.
think.
You're so on it. And you know what else I've noticed in our community too? There has been so many young girls who have been sexually abused, in the Indo-Caribbean community, even by family members, and they keep it so hush hush. And then when they do come out with it, the girls and the little girls, teenagers, are getting blamed for grown men,
Yeah.
pursuing them and being the perpetrator and stalking them and doing whatever they want with them and manipulating them and grooming them. And that's just so wrong. It's so wrong.
Yeah. And there is a religious, well, I know a few people who were abused by their own people, by their own family members, and
Mhm.
they thought it was normal. They thought it was a religious act, and they thought that it was something that had to be done. And
Right.
they in their adult life now, it really messed them up.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does mess them up. And I really can't tell you, like, even when our parents were growing up, and I'm not sure about today, when my parents were growing up in Trinidad, right, they got physically abused by their teachers. And
Yes,
other
yes,
countries in other countries they do corporal punishment or actual straight up abuse
yes.
in order to discipline students, and
I
that's just
I
not
saw that with my own eyes. I saw a teacher pull a boy's pants down and hit him on his butt with a belt or a ruler. I've seen that multiple times, and I think it was right after me. So
yeah,
probably like in 2005 or 6 is when it stopped
yeah.
in Trinidad. Yeah, I think that's
It
when
was
it
only
stopped.
recent, 2005, 2006. Oh my gosh. I remember when I was growing up, I won't say who it was, but at school, the nun, it was Catholic school, elementary school, I'll never forget it. Like, all the students lined up and we were waiting to get into classes, and someone I know very well was standing on the second floor, and the nun literally smacked this child across the face.
Wow.
I remember it to this day, clear as
Mm.
day. And I was like, what? I was only in the fourth grade. And I'll never
Wow.
forget that. A nun slapped this person. And
Mm.
I mean, it's so unruly. It's just so horrible. But there are great teachers out there, don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying this happens in other countries, and evidently here too in the US, it used to happen, but
And
abuse,
then when children growing up, you instill this kind of fear in them when when these things happen, and then that reprograms their brain. I mean, you would know more about the science of it, but it
yeah,
reprograms their brain,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
So,
everything changes. Everything changes in your brain. Abuse also, it changes your brain, and it also emotionally affects you, your self-esteem, your self-worth, like you said. It can change the entire trajectory of your life, abuse. It's horrible. And when you hide that abuse and you don't have family members sticking up for you,
yeah,
or silence is silence is violence. Silence, you are participating. When you say, oh, I don't want to get involved, you know
yeah,
I don't want nothing to do with this, I don't want to get involved. Guess what? You are involved. When you say that, you
yeah,
say that you are involved, because you're
yep,
basically you're a bystander. You're letting it happen. You're an enabler. You're letting
yeah,
abuse happen. You're not doing
yeah,
anything to protect the child. Nothing.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank
Or
you.
like
And
another parent who would watch their child get abused by another parent and just stand there and not do anything about it.
yeah, that's why we have child protection services and agencies of that sort to help stop that, to prevent it. But how are people going to know if it's not reported?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like I don't know if you watch the Netflix documentary. His name was Gabriel. I forgot his last name, but I
Hmm.
remember I could not finish it. I cried all the way through it, but I still finished it because I wanted to see the end. It was very painful to watch.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I can't watch. I don't know how everyone else feels, but I can't watch movies or videos on abuse and child abuse and
I
stuff
I
like that.
can't, but I do watch it to
Yeah.
learn how to help and how to I learn it really for to learn things, for
Yeah.
the educational aspect of it,
Yeah.
and watching that was really painful.
Yeah, that's good. My stomach just turns. Like I just feel so like I feel like that's why I started this too, because our community and needs to hear about this
Mm,
kind of stuff, abuse. Like
mm,
we need to shed light on physical abuse and sexual abuse. Because we can't keep silent anymore about this happening in our culture. We just can't.
mm,
And that's why I'm happy to start this podcast and YouTube channel, and hopefully we can be a change agent for the next generation and stop abuse and mental and emotional abuse and comparing your kids and young kids to other kids and who's better than who is
mm.
not good. It's not healthy.
Mhm.
It's not healthy
You
at
know,
all.
that is a typical behavior in Caribbean families.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very common. It's also very common to compare people on how they look, their color, dark,
Yeah.
fair. It's very common.
We get that a lot in our culture, huh?
Yes.
Comparing of the skin color, oh, she dark, and it's mostly with women, right? With the
Yes.
girls.
Because someone's dark, they're ugly.
Yeah, and that's still not true.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
just so horrible how we grew up like that. Like my mom is gorgeous. She's darker complexion than me. We call each other milk and coffee sometimes when we're looking in the mirror right next to each other. But she is drop dead gorgeous. Like she could have been a beauty queen, but she's got a good heart, right? Too.
Mm,
I mean, Indian people, we always do that. We always define beauty as being light skinned or like being uber thin or something,
mm,
it's such a horrible, it really diminishes the self-esteem of girls out there
mm.
in our culture.
Like, do you remember that beauty product, Fair and Lovely,
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
those fair creams?
Yeah. Let me tell you, there's still and there's a big Asian beauty market that still sells skin lightening and brightening and bleaching products. It's still out there. Yeah, it's still out there. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, so hopefully that'll change too. I think it might take some time, but it's really inspirational to see all these other Instagram accounts and stuff coming out, talking about these things.
Yeah, that's
You know,
good.
it's so
Well, thanks so much
empowering.
for doing.
Huh? I'm sorry.
Thanks so much for starting it.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you for starting your thing, and that's not
Mm.
all you do. So,
Mm.
but yeah.
But
Thank
it is fun, and it's my way of just, it's my little hobby. I love doing it.
your little hobby has like has like over 100 and something K followers and subscribers. So I think something's going right there for you.
Mm.
I think you're doing it good. You're doing good. And it's only going to get better. You just gotta keep surrounding yourself with positive people, even if you have to get rid of negative people from your life. I hate to say it, guys, but even if it's family members, I know we're in COVID and quarantine and everything, but this is the time to surround yourself. Do Zoom meetings, or you're zoomed out, do phone calls or group chats with positive people in your life. And if you have to cut out certain family members, do it.
Yeah.
If they're
And I
toxic,
think,
do it.
and you would know this too, during the pandemic, I think most abusive, most abused people, it
Hmm.
was worse for them because they were stuck with their abusive partner during that time.
Yeah, domestic violence
So
went
for
up.
those of you,
Hmm.
yeah, for anyone listening, if you're in a relationship that's abusive, you know, try to seek help if you can,
Yeah,
and don't just stay and, you
yeah.
know,
I'll put
just
certain
put it.
hotline numbers in our description for this, so people can get help if they are suffering from domestic violence in the home or sexual abuse. I'll go ahead and put some phone numbers up there. And also child abuse, the rates have also gone up as well, since COVID happened, because kids are home now with their families.
Mm.
And there's no teachers to report it. There's no
Yeah.
teachers or trusted adults where the child can go and tell somebody. And that's unfortunate. That's a downfall. That's one of the negatives, another negative of COVID and being quarantined.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to stop recording now.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for being on. You're an inspiration, like I said before, and thank you for all your videos and bringing education and our culture and just teaching people different ways of life. And congratulations on your education and everything that you're doing with your bachelor's. So thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you. And if they want, can you say the name of your YouTube channel again? And if they want to contact you, is there an Instagram they can follow you on?
Okay, sure. Well, thanks so much for having me, Trisha. I really appreciate you inviting me here. And for those of you listening and watching, you can follow me on Taste of Trini on YouTube and at Taste of Trinbago on Instagram and on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for watching and listening to us. And I'm Dr. Trish Rampersad, the Core Behavioral Therapist, and I hope you enjoyed this. And I hope it was refreshing. And if you want to get those good recipes and stuff, follow Reshmi. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.